This is my first video update coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Wednesday morning. It just stopped raining right now, and so I figured it's a good time to get out, grab myself a coffee, and talk about some news. So, the big story. Yesterday evening was the article from CNN, which says that the Biden White House, they are about to finalize the transfer of Patriot missiles, the Patriot missile system, to Ukraine. And that was the big story now. Brian Berletic at the New Atlas, he had an excellent video that he put out yesterday evening, about a couple of hours after the story broke, and he kind of sums everything up as to what this means for Ukraine, for Russia, for the collective West. That's the fact that you finally have Patriot missiles now being transferred to Ukraine. This is something that the Zelensky regime has wanted for a long time. I will put a link down below to that video. But here are my thoughts with regards to this story. First thing, the fact that they are sending the Patriot missile system to Ukraine is an indication of the fact that Ukraine's missile defense system, air defense system, is not working. It's an admission that it's not working, because if it was working, why would you need Patriot missiles? If this patchwork of missiles that they put together a couple of months ago was working out so well, why would you need the Patriot system? So that's an admission there that the air defense of Ukraine is not doing its job. And we've gone over some of the funny math from Ukraine where they say stuff like Russia launched 100 missiles into Ukraine. It hit 10 targets. They hit 10 targets throughout the country, but we shot down 98 of those missiles. I mean, that has been some of the statements and the funny math that Ukraine has put out with regards to Russian missile strikes in Ukraine. So their air defense system is not working, and or it's an admission that the Russian military has been very effective in destroying Ukraine's air defense system, or depleting their missile stockpiles, their air defense missile stockpiles. That's what it also means, because you would not be so desperate to get the Patriot system if you had your existing missile defense system intact. So basically, this is an admission that their air defense is not working. It's an admission that the Russian military has done a good enough job to dismantle their air defense, and that their stockpiles are also depleted. And actually, I think the Financial Times read an article saying as much, that the Ukraine military is running out of S-300s and stuff like that, S-300 missiles and stuff like that. So things are obviously not working out for the Ukraine military. But does the Patriot system, will it make the difference? Well, I'll once again reference you to Brian's video on the New Atlas in the description box down below, link in the description box down below. But here's my view of this. The first thing that I have to say is that no doubt the Patriot system is a big step up. I mean, this is a big escalation with regards to equipment being sent to Ukraine, specifically long range missiles. So that's the first thing. Now, the Patriot missile system, from what I understand, it's not very mobile, so it's going to be an easy target for the Russian military. It's, while it is effective, very effective, it's very expensive. So you're going to be basically using $3 million missiles to take out $20, $30, $40,000 drones. I mean, that's the scenario that we're looking at. $1 million missiles to take out $20,000 drones. That is not a good deal, if you ask me. And the other thing is that I believe Saudi Arabia had the Patriot system when Aramco was hit a couple of years ago. Remember that incident? And I believe that some of the Aramco installations, they were supposed to be protected by the Patriot system, and it didn't work out so well. So if in Yemen, if the Houthis are able to breach the Patriot system, well then, what are the Russians going to do? And yeah. Oh boy. That's muddy. It's starting to rain here. So yeah, if it didn't work out well for the Saudis, I don't know how well it's going to work out for the Ukrainians. But interesting point is that the Pentagon is actually going to countries that have Patriot systems, and they're actually lobbying them. They're strong-arming them to give over the Patriot systems, the missiles and stuff to Ukraine, because they don't have enough in their stockpiles to hand over to Ukraine. And I need to get under something. And I'll stay here for a little bit. And what else was I going to say? And I think the main point of this is what I was going to say. The main point of this escalation, in my opinion, is that, and Brian alluded to it in his video, is not so much the Patriot system, the Patriot missiles. The danger of this action from the Biden White House is the fact that you're going to need NATO trained personnel to operate this very complicated, very big system. Ukraine is not capable. The Ukraine military, they are not capable of operating the system. I know the Biden White House or CNN was saying that they're training Ukraine troops in Germany, and they've been training them for like the last month or two, and they're going to be the ones manning the system. If you believe that it's going to be the Ukraine military that's going to be operating the Patriot system in Ukraine, well, I've got a closed pharmacy in Cyprus to sell you. That's for sure. Look, this is going to be NATO. It's going to be NATO troops. They're going to be operating the systems. This means that we are inching closer from a covert NATO presence in Ukraine to an overt NATO presence in Ukraine. And I don't think you're going to have U.S. military operating these systems. You're going to probably have Poles, Romanians, Latvians. I don't know. You're going to probably have East European and NATO military operating these systems at first, because I think the Biden White House is still very reluctant to have U.S. military get annihilated in large numbers in Ukraine, or at least in significant numbers in Ukraine, because that's going to cause quite a controversy, quite a stir, a political stir in the United States. So what they're going to do, in my opinion, is they're going to tell their Eastern European NATO partners to send their military to Ukraine to operate the Patriot systems. The Russians are going to dismantle those systems, And with those systems, you're going to have the deletion of NATO forces as well. But the danger of all of this is that we're moving from a proxy war in Ukraine to a more overt NATO conflict in Ukraine. Mission creep in every sense of the word. Mission creep is what's going on. And if you think about it, from the neocon standpoint, this was probably, if they had a plan, like if these guys actually had a plan in place, then this was probably one of those plans. Delay the war as much as you can. Send in all the weapons that you can send into Ukraine to delay things. And then if things get delayed enough, we'll be able to engineer things so that we can take this conflict from proxy covert to NATO on the ground. And we'll start off with our NATO allies in the Baltic nations, in Latvia and Lithuania. We'll start out with NATO forces from Poland and from Romania and Slovakia, whatever. Slovakia, by the way, is going to be transferring 10 MiGs as well to Ukraine. We'll start off with those forces. They'll be the first ones to enter the theater of battle. And then eventually, well, we'll move more towards France and Italy and then the UK. And eventually, American boots on the ground. If they can drag things on enough, eventually American boots on the ground. This is mission creep. And if you're a neocon, and if these guys had a plan, then this might have been the plan, or one of the plans, because we know that they've been wanting NATO there from the beginning. No-fly zones and stuff like that. They've been pushing for this from the very get-go. So, at the end of the day, the neocons, they're getting their way. And as we say on the Duran, the neocons always get their way. So that is the danger with this system. It's not so much the actual missiles, though. They may be able to do damage, but it's not so much the missiles. It's the fact that you are moving now towards a more obvious presence of NATO forces in Ukraine. That is what is happening here. And of course, the collective West is distracted with all kinds of other things going on, all kinds of social issues and drag queen story hours and stuff like that no one is paying attention. No one is really paying attention in the collective West to realize that NATO is about to get into a conflict with Russia. Now, if you're Russia, you obviously know all of this. If we know this, you're Russia, you're the Kremlin. The Kremlin, you obviously know what is taking place well ahead of the time that we're getting the news. The fact that CNN is reporting that the Biden White House is thinking of sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine means that those Patriot missiles are already there. They've already got the people in place, and everything is already in motion. And CNN is just running in front of the story. But let's see if we can walk a little bit more here. But if you're Russia, you know all of this. You've been preparing for all of this. And obviously you're going to take the necessary actions to deal with this. But the question is the Russian military saying, okay, NATO is getting more involved in this conflict? Do we ramp things up and finish this conflict quickly so that we can prevent a greater NATO buildup? Is that what Russia's going to do? Because the neocons, they still need time. They need time to get more NATO forces in there. They need time to pivot from East European NATO forces to West European NATO forces to US NATO forces. All of this is the buildup. They need time to get all of this moving along. So if you're Russia, do you say, you know what, let's just finish this thing before NATO gets more embedded in Ukraine and we have a real big conflict break out? Or if you're the Kremlin, do you say, bring it on? Because the only way we're ever going to find peace and stability is if we destroy NATO. Because everyone always looks at it as if NATO gets involved, then Russia's going to have a problem. But I say let's look at it from the other perspective. Russia has the escalatory dominance. Even Obama said that. Russia is this is their area. This is their playing field, and NATO is coming to them. So if you're Russia, you might say, well, this is inevitable. It's going to happen sooner or later. This smash. So bring it on. We're going to have to destroy NATO, and so be it. And that's the way that we're going to actually end this thing. And that's the way that we're going to find some sort of resolution, not only in Russia, but perhaps in Europe, is the dismantling of NATO. And if you're in the Baltics and in Poland and Romania, and you're one of these countries that depends on NATO for security, and that's why you spew out all of this bellicose rhetoric towards Russia, because you have, the big guy behind you. You're this little Baltic nation, and you're talking a lot of smack to Russia because you have this big bodyguard behind you. What happens when that bodyguard goes? What happens when he's not behind you anymore? When you're talking smack and you're like, yeah, man, F you, and you're this and you're that, and then you're like, yeah, but I've got this guy behind me. Where is he? Where? And then you're looking at Russia and you're like, uh-oh. What happens in that situation? So yeah, that is that could be what's going on. And it does explain the crazy talk from a lot of EU leaders and from the Zelensky regime, where they're always going on and on about peace deals where Russia retreats and we're going to destroy Russia, and Russia is going to lose, and they're going to pull out their military from Ukraine. I think they talk up all this stuff because people like Newland, they arrive in Kiev and they tell Zelensky, "Don't worry, I'm gonna engineer things so that NATO enters Ukraine, and we'll take care of Russia." And so you have people like Zelensky and Kaluba and Arestovich, and the Prime Minister of Estonia and Latvia and Morawiecki in Poland. They're always going on and on about Russia losing. Schultz, Russia's going to retreat, Russia's going to lose. They say this because I think the neocons are feeding them the line that NATO's going to get involved in this war. Mission creep. Slowly, we'll get NATO into this conflict, and we'll take on Russia. So talk your smack. And so these people are confident. Like I said, it's the little guy who has this big guy in front of him. The little guy's talking smack to this big guy because he thinks that there's protection behind him. That's what's going on here. So it is raining hard, and I'm under a tree right now for a little bit of protection. So let me just do a quick clown world, and I will end this video. And this clown world is courtesy of Robert Barnes, the great, the one and only Robert Barnes. And he sent me a tweet that he was like, I can't believe this is real. And he's like, this is real. And then I was looking at the tweet, and I was like, is this real? Was this really tweeted? And sure enough, it was a real tweet. And it was from and let me pull it up here. One sec. And I believe it's from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. And it has a map, a darkened out map, a nighttime map, satellite image. And it has, of course, the lights of the geography on this map. And it spells out, the lights in Ukraine spell out freedom. And the tweet says, you call this phenomenon a blackout. We call it freedom. like William Wallace in Braveheart, Mel Gibson, freedom. And this is the official account of defense of Ukraine, blue check mark and all. And this was sent on December 12th, 2022. Is that what you call freedom? The interesting part about this tweet, that's not freedom, by the way, that's insanity. The interesting part about this tweet are some of the comments. And the comments are just, okay, some of them are very, pro-Ukraine and Putin is a dictator and stuff like that. But other comments are like, no, that's a blackout. That's not freedom. That's a blackout. Another comment is, so why don't you just stay free and stop asking us for $1 billion to restore the energy grid? which is true. Another comment says, I call your post copium. Oh boy. So yeah, the comments are really, that's what make this tweet a clown world. That is what makes this tweet a clown world. But this is the type of stuff that they're actually trying to sell people, that they're actually trying to sell the public. Blackouts are freedom, right? Eating bugs is healthy and green energy and Europe has to suffer for in order to defeat the next HITLER, right? It's all the same nonsense that they're trying to sell the people, so that they go along with this insanity. And this insanity is maybe, I don't want to say is, maybe shaping up to become a NATO Russia conflict. God forbid. Anyway, that is the video, guys. I'm going to end this right now, and I'm going to try to find a coffee shop to enter. All right. Take care.